Harley Davidson goes woke, joining Anhueser Busch in a feeble attempt to try and save the brand. Ron DeSantis joins the 2024 presidential race, and baseball has some new rules that are making the game a little bit more interesting and exciting, but some people aren't big fans. We're going to talk about all of that and more in today's live stream. I'm your host, Hyde. This is Hide and Seek Media. Hello, all you beautiful and amazing people. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the show. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, so you get notified anytime I drop a new video. Here at Hide and Seek Media, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring you a blue-collar, common sense, conspiracy theorist point of view on culture, the news, sports, and many other topics. So if you're new to the channel, this is what you can expect to get here at Hide and Seek. But like I said, I'm new to the live stream thing, so kind of bear with me as I try to fumble my way through all of this, right? Now, I also have a locals community that you guys can go join. Over there, I will post all of my videos from YouTube and Rumble, and I also put up exclusive content that you can't find anywhere else. So if you want to be, a member over there, you can get all of that extra content. I know I'm really fumbling through this thing. It is terrible. So if anybody is watching right now, thank you. I appreciate you hanging with me. Look, today I'm doing this live stream because I want to talk about Harley Davidson joining Anhueser Busch and going woke. Well, their commercial isn't woke, but joining Anhueser Busch while they're in the middle of this crazy Bud Light boycott is, in my mind, stupid, right? It doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't know why Harley is doing this. But we're going to look into that. Also, Ron DeSantis decided he wanted to officially, throw his hat in the ring for the 2024 presidential race, and that's going to make things a little bit more interesting. I think he's definitely going to pull votes away from Vivek Ramaswamy, who is actually, starting to gain ground. I don't think DeSantis is going to be able to beat Trump, but we're going to talk about that because I think there is this one person. And if you've been watching my videos and watching my channel, you know who I'm talking about. There's one person, one catalyst that this person gets into the 2024 presidential race in some way, shape, or form, whether it be a presidential candidate or a VP. I promise you, whoever that person is linked to is going to skyrocket to the top. And we're going to talk about that. Also, in our sports segment, I'm going to talk about baseball's new rules and how that is affecting the game and affecting the fans. So, because not a lot of the upper management and umpires are enjoying these rules, but a lot of fans are. So we're going to talk about those rules and get into that. And we're just going to discuss a whole bunch of stuff today. So I hope you enjoy the show. Stay tuned. Here we go. Right. So first off, in our culture segment, I want to talk about Harley Davidson and Budweiser teaming up to do this stupid commercial in a feeble attempt, like I said earlier, to save the brand, right? I have this story pulled up here from Daily Mail. Budweiser teams up with Harley Davidson in a very manly new advert as owner Anhueser Busch tries to recover from Bud Light backlash over marketing campaign with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. The macho commercial was launched after the backlash to Bud Light's tie-up with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney. A gray-haired male mechanic works on a Harley Davidson bike while cans of Budweiser emblazoned with the motorcycle maker's logo are shown on ice. The commercial, which ends with three men drinking the beer, appears to be part of Anheuser-Busch's efforts to win back customers after the Bud Light upset. Now, for those of you who have been living under a rock and don't know what's going on, Bud Light is currently losing billions of dollars because of a boycott going on after they decided to bring on transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney as a spokesperson for their brand. A lot of people have decided to switch to Miller Lite or some other form or some other brand of beer, and it has cost Budweiser, Anheuser Busch, and Bud Light a lot of money. Now, anybody who has been paying attention to what's been going on and understands the reasons behind Bud Light using Dylan Mulvaney as a spokesperson, see right through this. I mean, this is obviously a desperate attempt at a way to try and butch up their brand and bring people back. Like, oh look, they got Harley Davidson. That's those are manly. I mean, are they though? I mean, it's just a motorcycle. And if I'm 100% honest, when I've ever been out and about, I've seen more people oogle and gawk over an Indian motorcycle than a Harley Davidson. Harley Davidsons are mainstream now. Everybody has a Harley Davidson, right? And they've made them so easy to ride that everybody rides them. You don't hardly ever see anybody on an Indian. Those are a lot more uncommon, right? And so I don't understand Harley's decision here. Like, this to me seems like it's all about ESG and trying to get their corporate, social credit score up. That way they can say, look, we're doing our part, right, to help the transgender community and help the LGBTQ community, right, by partnering with Bud Light or Anheuser Busch, right? And it's like, we all see through that crap. This is fake. This is like this article here from the Daily Mail says, a desperate attempt at them to try and win back customers that they're never going to win back. All this is doing, okay, what people don't understand now is Bud Light is a cancer. It is a plague you cannot get loose of. Anheuser Busch is a plague you cannot get loose of. Once you get tangled up in that, you're done. This is going to hurt Harley Davidson more than it's going to help Anheuser Busch. Now, I don't know just how bad this is going to hurt Harley Davidson. I haven't seen any significant, drop in their market share just yet. It has gone down a little bit, but not like Bud Light. But Bud Light's in its going on its second full month of boycott. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of months, especially now that summertime is coming around and motorcycle enthusiasts are going to be out and about. I mean, just how many Harley Davidson riding guys are going to be sitting around, drinking Bud Light? I wonder how many of them are going to be drinking Budweiser after all of this controversy. It's a question. I doubt you're going to, I mean, people who don't pay attention to politics, yeah, probably. But sooner or later, somebody's going to go up there and go up to him and go, hey, man, why are you drinking that crap? Don't you know what's going on with Bud Light and the boycott and all that? Somebody's going to bring it to their attention. Sooner or later, it's going to be brought to their attention. And when it is, I wonder, what the effects are going to be on Harley Davidson. How many more Harley Davidsons are we going to see come up for sale, on various marketplaces? It could affect them considerably, considering there is another brand that people can go to. And that was what hurt Bud Light the most was, yeah, they were a popular brand, but there was many other brands that people are willing to drink. People drank Bud Light because it was cheap and you could drink a lot of it and not get completely wasted, right? So, but there are other brands that are like that you can go do. There's another brand that produces a pretty kick-ass motorcycle, right? I mean, Indian makes some pretty nice motorcycles. And so I would say Harley Davidson has kind of shot themselves in the foot here. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see a huge spike in Indian motorcycle sales in the next few months. You know, by the end of August, I would imagine you would see the inverse, right? Like Indian goes up, Harley goes down drastically by the end of August. You could see that probably earlier than that, given that it's only, the end of May. So, I mean, it could happen a lot faster than that. It's motorcycles, it's not beer. So it's not as big. There's not as much money in motorcycle sales as there is in beer sales. So I think the effect of drastic uh, a drastic effect on their sales won't hit as hard as beer does. Like it's not going to be as quick, but I think it will happen. I think this is going to hurt Harley Davidson's brand, and just like it hurt Ford, just like it's hurting Target, just like it's hurting Bud Light, people are starting to see through this, and they're seeing the messaging behind the community. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that all these advertising, all this advertising is for the purposes of trying to groom small children. But when you use someone like Dylan Mulvaney, whose target group that follows him on TikTok is like, was it like 14 to 20, 14 to 18, something like that. I mean, it's not, there's very, very few people over the age of 21 that follow Dylan Mulvaney compared to under 21. And the marketing director for Bud Light at the time when she hired Dylan Mulvaney said that they were trying to get away from the frat boy group, the frat boy party image of Bud Light, and trying to take it in another direction and target a more well, obviously using Dylan Mulvaney, you're targeting a more youthful group, a younger group, which means ask the question, why are you trying to advertise to people under the age of 21? Most frat guys are between the ages of 19 and 22. So why are you trying to advertise to people younger than that? Doesn't make any sense, right? And so it sparked a huge backlash. And now, and then of course Target and their what was it? Tuck friendly swimsuits and their LGBTQ pride displays up front in the kids departments sparked another backlash. But Target was smart and tried to appease the people as much as they could, moved it to the back and shrunk down its size in most stores. The store here in Oklahoma City, the Super Target that I went to here in Oklahoma City, still has it up front. But it's not real big. It's not real big at all. And I still don't like it up front, but I'm not going to show, and I don't personally shop at Target. I can't say that nobody in my family does, but needless to say, at least they saw the writing on the wall and tried to do something about it. Harley Davidson, the writing was already out there for everybody to see. Anybody who partners with this company is going to get some icky stuff on them. And this is going to hurt their market share. I mean, it's as simple as that. I I don't know how else to put it, but I think this was the dumbest move Harley Davidson has made in a long time. In a long time. Because all this is going to do is help Indian motorcycles. I can promise you that. You're going to see a huge spike in Indian motorcycle sales over the next 2 or 3 months. Um, so all in all, I think Harley Davidson was stupid for time, for joining up with Anheuser Busch, and the commercial was really, really cheesy. You can tell it is fake. You can tell it's just advertising garbage, right? That there's no real, because here's the problem, right? And here's the problem. Anheuser Busch hasn't apologized for the Dylan Mulvaney thing officially. No. um Somebody's asking me if I want to build a snowman. No, sweetie. But needless to say, I think this is going to hurt Harley Davidson. But I wanted to move on to the Ron DeSantis story, right? Because I think this is, I don't know if it's big news. We all knew Ron DeSantis was going to enter the race, but I think the bigger story is that now for at least for now, the Ron DeSantis Trump ticket doesn't look likely. And I never thought it was going to be likely anyways. I think Trump has a few people in mind for vice president. I have somebody in mind who would be perfect for vice president or even president. And like I said, if you've followed the show and then you know who I'm talking about, but we'll get to that here in a minute. I want to check out this story from timcast.com. Ron DeSantis officially enters 2024 presidential race with announcement on Twitter. Now, apparently he was supposed to be doing like this live Twitter thing with Elon Musk. They had some technical difficulties, so DeSantis went ahead and ran his video first, and then they did their discussion on Twitter Spaces or whatever it's called. And so Ron DeSantis says, "I'm running for president to lead our great American comeback." Let's see. Make America great again. Great American comeback. MAGA sounds a lot better than GAC. I'm just saying. Timcast goes on to report, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis released a campaign video announcing his candidacy for 2024 presidential election. The video was a full-length advertisement teased by Florida's First Lady, Casey DeSantis, on Tuesday. "Our border is a disaster. Crime infests our cities. The federal government makes it harder for our families to make ends meet, and the president flounders," DeSantis asserts. "But decline is a choice. Success is attainable, and freedom is worth fighting for. Riding the ship requires restoring sanity to our society, normalcy to our communities, and integrity to our institutions. I'm running for president to lead our great American comeback," the Florida governor tweeted. "Truth must be our foundation," DeSantis continues. "Common sense can no longer be a common virtue. In Florida, we proved that it can be done. We chose facts over fear, education over indoctrination, and law and order over rioting and disorder. We held the line when freedom hung in the balance. We showed that we can and must revitalize America. We need the courage to lead and the strength to win. I'm running for president to lead our great American comeback." So this is let's scroll back up here. The great American comeback. Like, okay, yes, Ron DeSantis did some great things and made a lot of headlines in the news during COVID and the subsequent years after, right? But let's not forget, there was a lot of Republican governors who refused to shut down completely. There was a lot of Republican governors who refused to issue mask mandates statewide. There was a lot of Republican governors who refused to do a lot of those things and did the same things that Ron DeSantis did. There was a lot of Republican state senates and Republican governors that signed the same kinds of laws into practice that Ron DeSantis did. It was just that he got the attention because it's Florida and that's where Trump lives. Honestly, I believe that that's the only reason why, because Florida used to be a battleground state and Texas is now a battleground state. And so those governors get a lot more attention than some of the other governors of pure Republican states like Oklahoma and West Virginia, because these states passed some of the same laws, the same types of laws that Ron DeSantis did. And so it's, to me, I think Ron DeSantis jumped the gun. I think he chose the wrong year to run for president. 2024 is going to be Trump's. There's just too many people out there who believe that Trump deserves a second shot. He deserves his quote unquote revenge, if you will. Now, I believe that if it is Trump, he is going to clean house. I've heard it from the horse's mouth per se. Don Jr. said on Timcast IRL that if they are reelected, it is cleaning house. They are going to fire everybody that they are allowed to fire and repopulate the entire administrative establishment in Washington, D.C. I'm all for it. That is a big task. That is a lot of people, a lot of personnel. But what I also want to see is them take the drastic steps to getting rid of departments within our government that we do not need on a federal level, right? We don't need ATF, DEA, and FBI, right? Those all can fall under one hat. So we don't necessarily need all of them, right? The Federal Department of Education should be disbanded and done away with, because that can be done on a state level, and education should be handled by the state with, a federal guideline as to what core subjects need to be taught. Outside of that, you are allowed to teach whatever, however curriculum you want to do in your state, right? That way, wherever you live dictates how you go through life in this country. Hang on one second. Sorry, it's hard to do this with kids. They always want your attention. So, like I'm saying, I think DeSantis jumped the gun. I think 2024 is not going to be his year. He's going to pull some votes away from Trump. That's without a doubt. And he is going to pull votes away from Vivek Ramaswamy, and he's going to cause there to be a need for debates in the primary, which is great. I believe there needs to be debates, and I believe Trump needs to stand on that debate stage and defend himself, even against COVID. But he needs to be smart about it, and he needs to start using those as pivot points, like I said in a previous video that you can check out on the channel. Just make sure to hit that subscribe button. Anyways, I think, like I said, I think this is going to be Trump's year. The only person that can change any of that, the only person that can change any of that is Tulsi Gabbard. I've said this before, and I will say it again. If Tulsi Gabbard decides to become somebody's vice president, whoever that candidate is, whether it be Trump, DeSantis, Ramaswamy, whoever it is, they are going to vault to the front. If she decides to run as an independent on her own for president, there is a very good chance you could have an independent win the presidency for the first time in I can't even tell you how long. Not only that, she would be the first woman president. And I tell you this with all sincerity. She used to be a Democrat. She's an independent now. And I don't agree with her on every single thing. But right now, in this time frame of the country and where we are, I don't believe anyone else can attack the problems we have in this country with as much grace, fortitude, strength, and practicality as Tulsi Gabbard. And she's already proven that she won't toe the party line. She won't kowtow. She won't bend to their will. She will stand on her own 2 feet with her own convictions and beliefs. Like I said, I don't agree with her on everything when it comes to politics. But I do believe that she is the one catalyst that could really shake up 2024. And she's the one person I think that could beat Trump. I don't think anyone else can beat Trump. I think DeSantis will make the primary close, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I love what Vivek Ramaswamy is doing, and I know he knows he doesn't have a shot at winning, but at least getting him on the debate stage is what we need to be doing. We need him on the debate stage saying those things to millions of people and challenging every primary candidate to state their positions on his stances. I would love to see that. And so that we need to be pushing just as much support for him as any of these other guys, because I want to see him on a debate stage too. But I tell you this, if Tulsi Gabbard enters the race, these guys are done. All of them. All of them. And I think DeSantis got bullied into this. I think a lot of people around him were bloviating his ego and telling him he had a shot at beating Trump. He doesn't. Like I said, there's only one person that has a shot. Has a shot at beating Trump. And that's Tulsi. She's the only one. And as long as she stays in the public eye and stays relevant, she if she enters the race, it's over. It's over. I'm telling you. But as of right now, it's Trump's to lose. And it's possible he loses it with his mouth, his ego. If he doesn't figure out how to pivot from 2020 and just make one little dart point and then move on, right? Or accuse them of bringing it up constantly because they have nothing else to attack him with, right? And so he says, that's old news. We already know about that. Yada, yada, yada. What about this? What about that? Always use it as a pivot instead of constantly trying to defend your stance. We've all heard it already, right? There are those of us out here who have our own opinions on what happened on 2020. Everybody has their opinion. Everybody's looked at the evidence. Who cares anyways? Anybody who's cared about it has looked at the evidence. We know, okay? We don't need you spouting off about it anymore. And the people around Trump need to be telling him that. Shut up about 2020. Pivot from 2020. Pivot from January 6th. Use it as a pivot point, right? Flip it back on them in some way, shape, or form. But I don't think Trump's going to do that, and that's what's going to open the door for other people to be able to come in. And he's going to get attacked on COVID. He knows it, and he needs to be able to defend that, right? just flat out come out and say the truth. I was getting bad advice from bad people, and I am not a politician and didn't understand how any of this worked. Now I do. Now I know better. And I won't let that crap happen again. That's what he needs to say. You be honest, you be truthful with the American people, and we will frickin' support you. But you be sneaky and shady and you know, make backhanded comments. At least Trump comes right at you, right? He don't make no sleight of hand backhanded comments like some of these other politicians do, right? He just comes right at you and calls you whatever he wants to call you, and just comes at you from the front. That's Trump, right? That's what a lot of people like about him, right? The brashness, the boldness, the willing to say what some people aren't willing to say. That in itself attracts a certain type of person, right? And yes, you got a lot of influential people backing Ron DeSantis at the moment, and I get that. People who have moved to Florida, you know, like Dave Rubin, who's jumped on the DeSantis train, and a few other people. I get it because you live in Florida and all that, but you moved from California to Florida. You didn't live in any other, you know, any other place. So the drastic change obviously affected your mindset in some way, shape, or form. To believe that DeSantis won't try to negotiate with some of these people in the deep state, in the administrative, you know, deep state here in Washington, D.C., or there in Washington, D.C. So, like, you know, he's going to do it. He's not going to fire those people. He's going to end up doing what Trump did and pull in, you know, established people that are, and it's going to end up looking like a normal rhino Republican presidency, like another Bush presidency. And we don't need that kind of crap. Now, will DeSantis push back a little bit on the Democrats? Sure, on the woke stuff, right? But that's about it. He'll negotiate with anybody else. Like, outside of that, he'll negotiate. So Trump isn't. Trump's pissed. Trump is mad for a lot of reasons. And he's going to be able to really go in and clean house way better than DeSantis would. So we need to really think about what kind of message we want to send to the world and to the rest of this country in 2024 when we elect a president. Because look at what Joe Biden has done to this country, and look at the message that's sent to the world. See, in my dumb high school educated blue collar mind, it said, wow, those people are really stupid. Those people will believe anything, and they will do anything to avoid reality, right? Like, to live in your own little bubble, to live in your own little world. You will do anything. You will believe anything. Masks help, right? Get the poke, and you won't get sick. You'll get to keep your insurance. I mean, come on. I mean, Trump said a lot of stuff too. So, I mean, they all lie. But I compare accomplishments, not lies, because they all lie. Not all of them accomplish things, right? When it comes to presidents, some accomplish more than others. And Trump had some of the greatest accomplishments this country has seen in decades. We're talking at least 3 presidents. So I don't think anyone else has a shot, to be honest. I don't think anyone else outside of Tulsi Gabbard has a shot at beating Trump. She's the only one that can really draw people from both sides. She's the only one that can really pull Trump supporters, DeSantis supporters, and Joe Biden supporters, right? I think, like I said, I think she's the catalyst in that. And if she decides to run, no one has a shot. If she joins somebody as a VP, nobody has a shot. But as it is for DeSantis, he's going to put up a good fight, and it'll keep his name out there. He's allowed to keep his still be governor. So even if he loses, which he's going to lose, he'll still be able to be governor for Florida, which is good. And then he can run in 28, and his name will be out there because of 24, and more people will know about him and know about his politics and stuff like that. So either way, even if he's going to lose, but there is going to be a positive that comes out of this for DeSantis. And as long as he doesn't get down in the trenches with Trump, if he tries to get down in the trenches with Trump and do the whole, tit for tat and start slinging mud at each other, that's going to look bad, and it's going to hurt him in 28, I think. But as for 24, I don't think anyone has a shot against Trump except Gabbard. But I want to move on because I want to move on to the sports section of the show, because I want to talk about baseball's new rules that they've implemented in 2023 for the major leagues. Now, some of these rules have been implemented in the minor leagues for a long time, and they've benefited the game. And so the major league decided to implement some of them. And we're going to talk about them because players and some coaches aren't real big fans of these rules, but the fans are. A lot of fans, including myself, are excited about these new rules and the new twists that it's going to bring to the game, new excitement it's going to bring to the game. Because for any of you sports fans out there, and especially baseball fans, you know that watching a baseball game live or on TV can be boring as and so to make the game more interesting, they've implemented some of these things. Now, like, you go to a minor league game, like we have minor league baseball here in Oklahoma, and those games are interesting. Those are fun. They're a little more, sped up and because they have some of these rules already implemented in them, it made the game a lot more fun, a lot more hits, a lot more, spectacular plays. And that's what Major League Baseball wants, because they want to drive fans back to the sport. This is America's pastime, even though it's not America's favorite sport, right? Football is America's favorite sport now, but this is still America's pastime, right? And so I wanted to talk about some of these rules that they have going on and the benefits that they have for the game and the negative effect that they're having on some of the players and coaches. So ESPN has this article here. They say, changes have come to the major leagues. We've had a full month of spring training games to see how the new rules for the Major League Baseball's competition committee voted to implement last September have played out. Now it's time to see those rules in action when it counts. All of these rules have been in place in the minor leagues over the previous seasons, leading to wide-ranging changes in pace of play and on-field action. They include a first-ever pitch clock, the elimination of the shift, bigger bases, and a limit to how many times a pitcher can disengage from the rubber. Here's everything you need to know about the new rules, what they'll mean for the players, and how the game is likely to change. So the shift rule. So for anybody who's played baseball or knows what this is, you can shift your players, bring them in. You can move infielders out into like the mid outfield. So, for pop ups and stuff like that to put them in better position for pop flies. And you could shift left or right, depending on the type of batter. None of that is allowed anymore. The infielders now have to play on the dirt. They are not allowed to step off into the grass. If they do, it's I believe it's called a balk, but let's check it out. They say the new rule: at the time a pitch is thrown, all 4 infielders are required to be on the infield dirt or infield grass, with 2 on each side of the second base. Players will be allowed to move as soon as the ball leaves the pitcher's hand. Originally, infielders who began the game on one side of the field would not be allowed to switch to the other side for the entirety of the game, but that was revised to just each inning. Unless there's a mid-inning substitution. In other words, a player who starts an inning at first or second base has to remain on that side of the field the whole inning, but can switch to short or third base the next inning. If there's an injury mid-inning, then the infield can be reset. How it will be enforced: if the hitting team reaches base and runners advance on a ball hit under the violation, the game proceeds without penalty. If the play has any other consequences, an out, a sacrifice, etc., the hitting team can decide either to accept the penalty, which would add 1 ball to the hitter's count, or decline it and the play would stand. What they're trying to change: the league-wide batting average was down to 2.43 in 2022, the lowest since 1968. A lack of singles in particular is at the heart of the decline, with 2022's rate of 5.33 per team, the 3rd lowest in MLB history, and the 2021 and 2020 seasons filling the 2 spots ahead of it on the all-time list. So the last 3 years, the rate of singles per team has been the lowest in Major League Baseball history. What it's meant in the minors: during the first 2 months of the 2022 minor league season, the lower levels of the minors where shifts are regulated, the batting average on balls in play by left-handed batters rose by 8 points. At AAA, where shifts are not banned, it was up by only 3 points. What players are saying: it would be hard to find a batter, especially a left-handed one, who isn't on board with eliminating the shift. Growing up, we never had that, Dodgers outfield Joey Gallo said last season. It's tough to adjust to it because it wasn't a thing in the minors. Over time, it's gotten more extreme and more effective. From a hitter standpoint, it's something that could be changed. Perhaps surprisingly, some pitchers are on board with the move as well. Man, I'm having a hard time reading this. Anyways, so basically the shift allows for more singles, right? Because you can't move a shortstop over to second base, move the second baseman in between first and second, and now have 3 people on that one side to field the ball. So it allows for bigger gaps, bigger holes in the defense for a batter to place a single and get on base, which allows for more base runners, which is going to allow for more exciting plays, more opportunities for double plays, more opportunities for triple plays. We're talking, there's more opportunities for more excitement in the infield now because of this. It's going to allow for more people to get on base, which is going to allow for more exciting plays. So let's look at the pitch clock. They say the new rule: the pitcher will have 15 seconds to throw a pitch with the bases empty and 20 seconds with a runner on base. Hitters will need to be in the batter's box with 8 seconds on the pitch clock. So How it will be enforced. If a pitcher has not started the motion to deliver a pitch before the expiration of the clock, he will be charged with a ball. If a batter delays entering the box, he will be charged with a strike. Each stadium will have 2 clocks located behind home plate on either side of the umpire, while 2 more will be required in the outfield on either side of the batter's eye. Spring stadiums may only have 1 clock in the outfield, but will otherwise be fitted to the exact parameters as MLB ones. Each umpire will be equipped with a technology which will inform them when the pitch clock has expired. And for the first time, umpires will also have the ability to speak with each other via communication devices without having to meet in the middle of the infield. What the rule is trying to change. The average time of a 9-inning Major League game in 2022 was 3 hours and 4 minutes, which is actually a 6-minute decline from 2021's all-time high. But the time of the game has been rising consistently since first crossing the 3-hour mark in 2014. While it is not directly correlated, StatCast's pitch tempo tracker shows 110 pitchers average at least 20 seconds per pitch with the bases empty in 2022. What it's meant in the minors. With stricter pitch clock enforcement, based on a 14-second clock with the bases empty and an 18-second clock with runners on, began in the minors earlier in 2022. The results were immediate. Over the first 132 minor league games under the new rule, the average game time was 2 hours and 39 minutes. That's 20 minutes shorter than the average time of a control set of 335 games run without the clock to begin the season, 2 hours and 59 minutes, and 24 minutes shorter than the average in 2021, 3 hours and 3 minutes. What players are saying? There's been mixed reactions to the pitch clock, with veteran relievers worried about rushing through high leverage situations, and many young players who have spent time in the minors during the past couple of seasons are already used to it. In addition to the new pickoff rules, which are tied to the pitch clock, this is bound to create the most debate among players. So the pickoff rule, I won't get into much because it's not really that. I mean, it does hurt the pitcher, but it doesn't really affect the game. I mean, it speeds up the game by taking away the amount of. I think they're only allowed 3 pickoffs per inning now, pickoff attempts per inning. So they can't just constantly try a pickoff whenever they want to reset or throw the batter off or whatever, So that kind of speeds the game up. So they've also done bigger bases. I'm not really going to get into that because that really all that does is allow for base runners to shorten the distance, and it may allow for more stealing to happen. The pickoff rule also will allow for more stealing because once the pitcher's done his 3 pickoffs for that inning, any base runners can pretty much steal whenever they want, and it'll be up to the catcher to try to throw them out instead of the pitcher. So they can do huge leadoffs, and the pitcher won't be able to do anything about it because he's already done his 3 pickoffs. So that's going to allow for more base stealing, which is going to allow for more excitement during the game, right? Because I remember back in the 90s when Rickey Henderson stole 100 bases in one season. That was exciting. That was when you're like, oh man, is he going to take off? Is he going to go? You never knew. And throughout the years, that has become a lost art. And I think last year alone, there was a total of like 75, like the total, the high number of bases stolen was like 75, and that was between 2 players. And so like we need more excitement in baseball. This is going to bring it. The pickoff thing is going to allow for more base stealing. Bigger bases is going to allow for them to get to the base easier, right? So a longer extension, You know, those 3 extra inches, that split second matters, right? Getting to that base before the ball hits the glove matters. And so those 3 inches are going to help. I think that is going to be a benefit to base stealing as well. But I don't think the bigger bases are going to really change the game that much. The pitch clock, I think, is the big thing, and the batters not being able to take all these timeouts. I want to say they're only allowed 1 or 2 timeouts per at bat. That's not in these rules or in this article, but I think that was one of the things that was changed as well. Was the batters aren't allowed to constantly call timeout, which is going to speed up the game too, because after every pitch, you got it. Like I remember batters like David Ortiz. Every pitch, steps all the way out of the batter's box, readjusts his gloves, readjusts his hat, gets back in, puts one foot in, does this. I mean, it takes forever. That gone away, which is great. So all in all, as a fan, I can see it from a player's perspective how some of these changes are going to hurt. Like the pickoff rule is going to hurt pitchers, and it's going to hurt catchers. It's going to make it a lot harder on catchers having to throw from home to first, to third. Well, not to first necessarily, but to third. They throw to second all the time. That's their bread and butter. But another thing that wasn't mentioned in this article either was the fact that now pitchers can communicate with the catcher via electronic device, and so there's no more signals. Catcher doesn't have to show signals or whatever, 1, 2, 3, whatever. They and try to hide them from base runners. They can just do it. And pitchers are now calling their pitches themselves. They're now telling, because it's on their hip, right? And so they can just tell the pitcher or tell the catcher, this is what pitch is coming, based on how the pitcher is reading the game. So he doesn't have to rely on his catcher necessarily to tell him what pitch to throw, and have to wait on and have to shake off signals because that's not what he wants. And so now the pitcher could just tell the catcher, be ready for this pitch. Here it comes. And so that, I think, has made it very interesting, because now the dynamic of the pitcher catcher is changed to the point where you can't steal signs from a catcher, right? From if you're on first base or the first base coach or and I think that is what some people were accusing Aaron Judge of doing, and the first base coach for the New York Yankees when they played the Blue Jays a while back. The announcers accused Judge of cheating in some way because it looked like he knew what pitch was coming. And it could be because they've studied their signs, and the first base coach saw what sign the pitcher gave, or the catcher gave the pitcher, and told Judge, through a sign. Judge peeked over, he saw this, pow! He knew that pitch was coming and cranked it out of the yard. It's possible, right? But that's baseball. Now this has done away with that. So now there is no more sign stealing, right? There is no more advantage to the batting team, right? It is now, you are going to have to really watch the release point of that, of that pitch, and make a true assessment on whether you're going to hit that ball or not. And that happens in milliseconds, right? It happens so fast, faster than a blink of an eye. You have to make that decision. It literally is faster than the blink of an eye that you have to make the decision on whether to swing that bat at that pitch. So your brain has to be registering his arm motion, how his hand is holding the ball at the release point. You have to know all of that. So the advantage that you got by knowing what pitch was coming, because you could read the signal, gone. It's going to make batting a little bit harder and make pitching a lot more interesting. You're going to see a lot more strikeouts. You're going to see a lot more attempts at a perfect game or a no-hitter, which oh man, when a pitcher's on a no-hitter, that game could be just as exciting as when a team has got hot bats, right? So for baseball fans, I think those rules are going to be great. And to kind of go back on some of the stuff I talked about earlier, Desantis, I think getting into 2024 was a mistake. It's going to put his name out there for 28, but if he'd have just kept doing what he was doing in Florida, his name would have been fine out there for 28. I think this is more at a way to poke at Trump and to kind of goad Trump into hurting himself during the campaign. So I really don't think DeSantis has got a shot at beating Trump in the election in 24. And as far as Harley Davidson goes, look, you want to partner with Anhueser Busch, that's your business. Expect to take a hit. Bud Light took a hit. Other brands took a hit. Target took a hit. And your brand is going to take a hit too. I hope you expect it. And like I said, now would be the time to invest in Indian motorcycles because I think their stock price is going to go up. If they're a publicly traded company, you need to invest in Indian motorcycles right now. But I'm not giving you stock advice. That's just my opinion. I might do that. So if you want to follow my stock strategy, you're more than welcome. But like I said, that's not stock advice. I'm just saying I think their stock value is going to go through the roof if they are a publicly traded company, but I don't know that. All in all, Harley Davidson's in trouble. DeSantis is in trouble. And baseball isn't. Sounds like a great day to me. I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. If you like the show, smash that like button. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. I'll catch you later. Peace.